Sam Logue here for Green Blood Boxing. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Sean Mccomb. Sean, how are you, mate?
All good. Thanks for having me on. All good. Just tipping away and just finished training there in case anyone's wondering. Man, I'm dressed like fucking Dobby or Harry Potter or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You forgot about me there for a few minutes, but I'll let you away with it. You obviously you're out tipping away on a run. You were just saying to me, because I suppose the first thing we have to touch on is the unfortunate news that the British Boxing Board of Control have come out and postponed all boxing events in January. What was what was the feeling when you got the news?
Disappointing. Very disappointing. It's the second show now inside of a year that's been cancelled on me. Like, I was obviously due to fight Craig Evans in April last year, and 3 weeks before the show it was cancelled. So I lost out on that one, which was one I felt would have catapulted me in the good lightweight rankings and pushed me on. And then again, I've got a come-off title one, and this one has been postponed. So it hasn't actually been cancelled. It's just been postponed, which is a bit better than the last time, but it's disheartening. And yesterday I was very positive. Today I'm just fed up now. Like really fed up. Yesterday I was like, you know what? These things happen. My girlfriend's pregnant, whatever else, all shit that's going on. I'm opening my own gym, and there's loads to be positive about. I'm still positive, but I just want to fight again. I'm putting full camps in. I'm dating. I'm sacrificing so much, and I'm getting nothing.
Yeah, I know, and it's I suppose it's frustrating in a way, because it's almost more frustrating at times when you can't control it. You know what I mean? Because 100%. You don't have any control over it. It's like, fucking hell, when is this going to end? When am I going to? You can't help but take it personally, because you're putting so much of yourself into it, as you said, like all the camps and all the sacrificing.
Nutrition, like all over Christmas, I haven't drank in like 12 weeks. Missed loads of family time, loads of time with my girlfriend, my friends. Just Christmas, or I felt depressed. Not depressed, like that's a fucking bit harsh, but I just couldn't wait till Christmas was over. It was a real Scrooge over Christmas, just because of the food I'm surrounded by, and everyone's having a drink and having a laugh, and I'm just sitting in the corner like miserable, going,
yeah.
But reminding myself, like, in 3 weeks' time, this is going to be all worth it, and I'm going to be Commonwealth champion, and it's going to progress my career right up in the right direction and where I want to be. And this is why I do it. And it's just them wee small things that I'm reminding myself of over the Christmas period that's getting me through the Christmas period. And then to get like a few days after Christmas to get that phone call and be told, nah, it's off, is like, how guilty I felt for eating like a small like quality street or a small bit of chocolate, and I'm like, fucking, or a small bit of cheesecake that I had on Christmas morning or Christmas Day after my dinner. I was like, geez, I could have had an extra bit of cheesecake. I could have had potatoes with that dinner.
Yeah, could have had the whole cheesecake.
You know what I mean? And it's just so frustrating. But at the same time, it's what, as they always say, it's something great will come off it. I know what the feeling's going to be there regardless. It's just postponed, and I'll still become off champion this year.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And that's the way you got to stay. You have to stay positive with it, don't you? And I suppose it's the kind of the life of a professional boxer as well, which is, I suppose, something that you've signed up for. So I suppose there's a maybe safety in the knowledge of, well, this is what I signed up for. This is what I'm kind of built for as well. So look, it'll come off as well, as you said. But I suppose that's a nice little segue just to move on to the opponent, because it's an opponent now that we're quite familiar with, especially with the obviously with Gwynne having fought against James Tennyson, who I'm sure is someone who you know quite well.
Yeah,
100%. What did you make? I mean, well, we'll get on to Tennyson's fight with him, but I mean, as an opponent for yourself, what do you make of that fight? How do you see the fight going? It's a good matchup.
Oh, Bernard, he's fought for a title twice now. He's fought Joe Cordina, he's fought James Tennyson. He's very durable. He's done the rounds. He's very durable, very fit opponent. I know what he's capable of doing, and I'm sure he knows what I'm capable of doing. But there's like, he's not tactically anywhere near as good as I am. And on top of that, I'm just equally as durable and as fit and as strong, and like I'm coming down from super lightweight. You know what I mean? I fought 11 super lightweights. In fact, I fought a welterweight, took him down to super lightweight. So, or a light welter, or whatever you want to call it. But so I've been in against bigger men. I'm able to push him back. It's a good fight, regardless. I'm not going to sit and talk shit about the fella. He's very good, but I'm sure he's very confident he would beat me. Otherwise, he wouldn't take the fight. And likewise goes for me. And I think with the clash of stage that it is, that because he's so fit and durable, and I'm so, I believe, so skillful and technical, then it'll be a good battle. And
definitely, yeah,
let's hope that shit blows over and we can get the fight on sometime soon.
Hopefully, man, as soon as possible, because it is. When I saw the matchup as well, I was like, oh, that's a tidy little matchup for sure, and it's a lovely step up for you. I feel Craig Evans would have been a lovely step up, as you mentioned earlier on. I think that's debatably a harder fight actually, but but Gavin Gwynne it's a very good kind of middle of the road step up fight, I think, for you. Like a really, really winnable fight against a guy who now has had a couple of big fights on a big stage, who the public know him as well, which is so important. Like, so do you see this fight as well as kind of not a coming out party, because especially like the Irish fans and all, they know you already, but maybe on a slightly bigger scale, it's a way of getting your name out there, like against a more well-known opponent?
Yeah, 100%. There's obviously a bit more publicity around the fight based on firstly, it's for a title. My first title, a Commonwealth title, is always a good title to win, and there's been some legends who's won the title in the past, like Amir Khan, lightweight title, and some big names in around there. So it does bring some more publicity than any other fights I've had. But at the same time, in order to get the big fights and the recognition that that probably most of us deserve, you want to be on the Sky Sports bills and the big American bills with Top Rank and stuff, but or BT Sport. We don't get that. We're very, but at the same time, we're very fortunate to have an American audience and ESPN Plus for NTK and IFL TV, which gives viewers a free opportunity to watch us. So for me, I believe I have a lot of supporters within the real boxing community, like real boxing supporters, not just armchair supporters. I think a lot of the Sky Sports boys and the BT Sports have a lot of armchair supporters who actually give them a bit of stick every now and again on social media. I always see like the likes of Anthony Fowler and stuff. He's always writing about it. I don't get that from anyone, because I don't have armchair supporters, because armchair supporters don't click in to watch IFL TV or ESPN Plus on YouTube. They'll just turn the TV over and see if boxing's on the Sky Sports and watch it. And then they can start to shift from there. So I feel good that I have good support already without the likes of Sky Sports and the big broadcasters. And I'm sure that'll come with it anyway eventually. But for now, I'm happy I'm in lane and where I'm at.
100%, man, and that's what this kind of fight can do for you. That's what I believe anyway. Like when you take a fight like Gwynne and you win and you look good, all of a sudden you're in that position where you can get those fights on the slightly bigger platforms. You know, you become a little bit more of a commodity. The more of those kind of fights that you have and win. But there's a few interesting things there that I actually want to touch on. I suppose the first one, let's go back to Gwynne a little bit. Obviously you're supremely confident going into the fight. I think absolutely rightfully so. He's a good, solid opponent, as you said. He kind of looks like that standard British kind of level, tough, come forward, durable guy. But I mean, he's definitely skillful. He definitely brings a fair bit to the table. But obviously, a guy who you'd know quite well, James Tennyson, probably the man who's debatably leading the way, or one of the men leading the way from the island of Ireland at the moment. Really doing well. Boxed him not in his last fight, but in the fight before, in the Matchroom Fight Camp show, and did a good number on him. Is there anything you take away from that fight? I know you and Tennyson don't box exactly the same way. You're a little bit stylistically different, but is there anything that you look at that fight and think, James did this, James was able to find him there, I can mimic that, or I can do that as well?
Yeah, I do look at stuff and see that there's openings there and there's gaps that I can exploit.
Yeah.
Even from a southpaw stance. But again, Tennyson forced Gwynne onto the back foot, whereas I don't think I'm not taking punches. I'm not willing to take punches to do it.
Yeah.
It's a short career. I don't want to be taking any punches from anyone. So I can exploit that in a different way. I believe I can box Gwynne from the front foot.
Yeah.
Therefore, not actually moving, and I can move all night. It's as easy. Like the more the opponent comes, it's easier for me. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, well, you're quite a proficient
I'm
boxer.
a solid boxer. I've good feet work, of fast skill, of good reaction time, and I've good timing, and I've a good punch selection to move and box all night. So that suits me. If they want to come, let them come. But I think if Gwynne wants, like, for me, it's just one of them things where I won't be walking forward with a take guard because I don't want to take punches on the way in. There's no need for it. You're getting hit before you land. You're taking one to give them.
Yeah.
I feel Tennyson done a lot of that. And like for Tennyson, he's very, very explosively strong. He's a real force. He's real punch power, and that allows him to do that.
Yes.
Whereas I don't go looking at. I don't go in to throw in big, powerful shots and explosive shots. I'll pick the timing and the speed more than I will just blowing people out of the water. It's because at the same time, yes, it looks good and it's brilliant, but then you have to look at the punches you're taking in return.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, but it's as I say, it's interesting to see that it kind of, and you understand your own style as well. I think you see a lot of time guys kind of go in and they just want to, they want, maybe it doesn't suit them to be like a come forward kind of go looking for the knockout kind of fighter, but they do it anyway. You know what I mean? But obviously you have a very good understanding of like what you're good at and how you have the best chance to win the fight, which is like probably one of the most important things, actually, especially in a fight or in a sport like boxing where you're in there and you can get hurt.
Yeah, 100%.
But I want to move a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about James Tennyson as well, because same weight class, he's up there. He's in world title contention now, or thereabouts. Is James like a friend of yours? I mean, because I actually personally I don't know too much about that, but is he a target for you? Is it a big Belfast showdown that we're looking at in the future?
James is way beyond me at the minute. He's served his time as a professional. I think he's been pro about 6 or 7 years now. He served his time. He's got to where he is because of who he's beaten and what he's done and the sacrifices and the chances he's taken against opponents that I think he wasn't supposed to beat, and he beat them. Like Martin J. Ward, for example, he went in and blew him out of the water again and moved him right up there nicely, and he's in around amongst the top boys now, and I think he deserves to be there, rightly so. And I mean, me personally, I like James. He's a top man, and I hope to God he wins the world title because he really deserves it. And if he does, and I'm up and around or mandatory, or I'm made mandatory at that time, then yes. But I wouldn't go looking at just because I like the fella. He's a nice fella. I've known him a long time. I've known him years, and like I say, the only way I would probably do it is if I'm made mandatory and he was world champion.
Okay, interesting. We see that. I think
at the same time, if it was offered to me, I wouldn't go looking at. But if it was offered to me by like Eddie Hearn, for example, says contact the MTK and let's get Sean, let's do it. Like I'm never going to say no to a fight.
Yeah.
But I would never go looking at a fight with Tennyson because of where he is in his career and where I am in my career. Because he's way higher than me at the minute and he deserves to be here. So I would love to see him win a world title. And by the time he does that, if I'm up and around them boys and maybe made mandatory, then why not?
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one actually, because I see that a lot between the Irish boxers. There seems to be a lot of respect, but almost like even more so, like more than just respect. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the lads are very reluctant to call each other out. You know what I mean? Because they're friendly or they know each other. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that it's a smaller scene, and you know, I don't know. it's what do you make of that yourself? Because I've really noticed that, like with a lot of guys, that they're very reluctant to kind of call other fellas out because they don't want to seem like an arsehole, or you know what I mean, something as simple as
We're Irish. We're the
Irish
best
guys, yeah.
supporter. We're the best supporters in the world.
Yeah.
So we support each other
As well. Okay. Yeah.
Like, there's no rivalry within our own country. We are Irish. We support each other, and
Yeah.
that's what I do. Like I support my own, and I always will. There's no need. If it happens, it happens. There's no hard feelings. There's no bullshit talk. There's no fuck all. It's Irish elite. You fight the best in the Irish elites, and a week later you're brought to squad training to train with each other,
Yeah.
and you're sparring partners, and you're friends, and and it's no hard feelings. It's just now if that person I beat goes on to the multi-nation tournament while I was on the Irish scene, I wish him well. I hope he wins gold.
Yeah.
And that's the culture we've created. There's no, for me anyway, and that's I want to see everyone do well. If there was a place for everyone in Ireland to win the world title, I would support that fully.
Definitely. So you think that's probably why the lads don't tend to call each other out and stuff, because there isn't.
It is for me anyway. There's no
Yeah.
it's just respect. We all get in the ring. We all sacrifice our whole lives to a sport that we all understand so well, and we just support each other. And that's just the way it is.
No, it is really nice. It is really nice. Obviously, the build up and the rivalries, they cause a bit of hype, and then through that you can get more attention, more money and stuff at times. But I actually quite like the fact that all the guys in Ireland are just very conscious of respecting each other, because I think like that, like I said, because it's a tight circle and you've all like boxed in the national team together at different times as amateurs and stuff. There's like nobody feels comfortable to kind of call the other guy out. But it's nice. There is like a real kind of camaraderie within the Irish boxing circle, which is nice as well. Another thing you said earlier on was, which I actually got a little bit confused earlier on. I was thinking about it. You've boxed up at 140 now for a while, haven't you? And you're kind of moving back down now to 135. So talk to me a little bit about that. That's actually quite interesting. So what was the deal with going up to 140 and then kind of now coming back down for a title? Is it tough to make 135, or what's the thing behind that?
When I turned pro, I was 140. So
that's what I thought.
I was 140 on the amateur scene. Like I was 64 kilos.
Okay.
Boxing's an amateur, like on the Irish Elites. So I won the Irish Elites at 64 kilos. It was 64. I turned pro and I just stayed that weight. But now, professional boxing is like, I don't make weight every day. I don't weigh in every day before a fight. So if I go to a major tournament, I don't have to weigh in every day before a fight.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I would have had to go to a World Championships, fight a day later, make weight, weigh in again, fight, weigh in, fight, and that's the way that's how it goes on the amateur elite side of things. And it's when I was boxing 60, I boxed at 60 kilos for the first 2 years as an elite. And I just found it gradually just getting harder to just do every time, and I just went, fuck this, I'm moving up. And I moved up because I could. Like, there was no one to fear. Like, there was no one to fear. I was confident when I'm at 64, and I just done it. And now at the minute, whereas in pro, I've got one weigh-in of a 36-hour, at least 36-hour period to recover and rest and rehydrate. I've got a nutritionist on board with Stephen Floyd, who's a friend of mine. He's a master's in sports nutrition. So we've went to Liverpool, and we've got the DEXA scans, which is the gold standard to let me know what's going on within my body. It lets me know my body fat percentage, my muscle mass percentage, my water retention, my weight, what weight, and he's able to measure all that up and tell me exactly what I need to do to get down to 135 healthy with the right fat percentage, without cutting muscle. And if I had to cut muscle to do it, I wouldn't have done it. But because I can get down to 6% body fat, with the same muscle that I carry at 140, then it's perfect. And it's a no-brainer for my nutritionist. He's like, it's the exact same strategy. The only difference we do now between 140 and 135 is fight week. 2 days, 3 days before the fight, you wear a sweatsuit.
Okay.
Whereas before I never had to. So.
Okay, so you're making weight for 140. You were making weight reasonably easy then, it would seem.
I was making it easy, but I was sticking to the plan that he was giving me, obviously over the course of 10 weeks to get there, but no extreme measures needed, like no saunas, no hot baths, no, like,
yeah.
The night before I would have always had a Twix extra, and the next morning waking up I'd had a cup of coffee and a Twix extra, and then weighed in. So that's a fact, like, so.
Yeah.
This time will probably just be no Twixes, just make wee small sacrifices, and I'm more sweated, take more water out of yourself. Simple as that.
Just no chocolate on weigh-in day, Sean. Should be all right. That's brilliant. But so like, why did it take so long to come back down? Then you said you had quite a number of fights at 140. So why was it that it took a while to come back?
Just because it took some convincing to get me to make my mind up. Jimmy Conlon has been like on the ball with he's been in contact with my nutritionist asking what do you think. Obviously Jimmy wants the best for me as my manager, and he's going like he's looking at options and where we can go from here and where we can go from there. And I'm just like stubborn and thinking, sure, I'll beat them at 140, where would I want to go down for?
Yeah.
And he's like, why not? Why not be a superstar now? Like, let's do it. Like, and I'm just like, but I'll be a superstar at 140. He's like, you can be a superstar at 135, then be a bigger superstar at 140, then be a bigger superstar at 147. You're 6 foot tall. That's fucking. So he's looking at the big picture here, the superstar status and the sacrifices that needs to be done to create. You can create a multi-weight champion here, and he obviously has confidence in me to see where I can do and the potential I have. So he's trying to do that. And after just under 2 years as a professional, he finally convinced me to do it. And here I am.
Thank God for Jamie Conlon. Because that is, it sounds like a good plan. I mean, what a good man to have in your corner, by the way. Just working for you, like, seems to really have slotted into the kind of that management role. He seems to really be taking it, like doing a really good job for all the guys that he's working with. But I suppose let's move on, because it's interesting. Like, I was kind of wanted to talk a little bit about 140 and 135 in our like both weights, because obviously you're kind of campaigning at both. Obviously you're going to go down to 135 now for the most part, but there's a lot of kind of good up and coming names in Ireland, anywhere between lightweight and welterweight. Like, it really is the strongest, I would say, especially up and coming, the strongest bunch of fighters. Like 140 to be fair is quite stacked. But I mean, likes of Tennyson, Cully. What do you think of that fight at 135? Gary Cully.
Same thing applies. Let's do it. Let's do it on the line. World titles on the line. Like, if there's world titles on the line and we're both good enough to get that level, let's do it. We can't go no further. So let's do it.
Yeah.
But let's, like, if win everything else on the way up, get that level and have an all Irish world title fight. Sounds good to me.
And is it only are you only really entertaining these fights if they are for the big titles? Or if MPK turn around?
I'll fight my next fight against any of the two of them, like, no problem. Like, if it's put in front of me, like, I'll do it. There's nothing stopping me. I go fuck. But I just think, for what makes sense for MTK, what makes sense for everyone else, it's just like Cully's good enough to win a world title. I'm good enough to win a world title. Tennyson's good enough to win a world title.
Yeah.
Like, the Americans do it. This is what happens. The Yanks do it. The Americans all win world titles. Like Teofimo Lopez, you've Gervonta Davis, you've all these different, and they're all in there. Like, if you look at the top 10 rankings in the world, like 6 or 7 of them are all Yanks. They're all from USA.
Yeah.
And they haven't fought each other yet. So why have they not fought each other before? Like, why do people need to put like pressure on them to fight when they can fight eventually for a world title?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because Ireland's smaller and people think this is how it has to be done. It's not how it has to be done. It's done at the top level. Let's create as much world champions as we can first.
Yeah, and then get them all to face off when they're big names.
This is entertainment. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think maybe the likes of like Eddie Hearn is pushing, really, for the last few years, has been pushing that idea of like, get in there early. Like, there's no need like we should get the good fellas in at the kind of British level, European level, get them fighting each other, because you can still come back, which is great for the fan in the moment. Like it's great for us, like say me as a big fan, I'm like, oh, Cully Mccomb for like the European title in like 3 fights time is class. Like that's, I'm looking forward to that fight. It could be for a world title in 7 fights time, but I can have it now for the European title. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those. So it's an interesting one, but from the boxer's perspective, it's totally understandable. Like you're like, why box now when we can?
Do you fight for world? Do you fight for European titles? What someone has to lose or draw, whatever happens. But and then what? That you never fight. Like you never fight again. And then there's no like world title, and there's no. It's just one of them things. Like if you look at, there's sometimes it's some people are fortunate. Like if you look at Rocky Fielding and Colin Smith, Colin Smith destroyed Rocky Fielding in 1 round. But Rocky Fielding went on to win a world title, a Super WBA title, and then Colin Smith went on to unify the division. But would they have ever fought again? No chance. That was gone. That came and went. Whereas if they had both went on to win world titles and never had that first fight, there would be such a big debate around who would win on a higher scale, a much higher scale.
Yeah, I get you.
The tension around that fight would be much higher as well, and it would probably bring more interest than what it did the first time.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. But so I'm not gonna ask you too much about other Irish guys, because I know the response.
I'd say I would fight them in the morning, but I'm just talking from promoters and managers perspective. So that's to me, like, it's common sense.
I get you. Yeah, I get you. Sean, look, I've taken up enough of your time today, man. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed the chat. And obviously, some people will know, some people won't. You're expecting a baby in the next probably couple of days. You and your girlfriend.
She was due on New Year's Eve, so we're a few days late. But yes, we're expecting a baby hopefully in the next week latest, and hopefully all goes well. But
hopefully all goes well, man. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Look, all the best. I hope you get on well with it, and look, all the best to your girlfriend as well. I hope she's doing okay, and I hope everything goes smoothly. All right. Look, thanks very much, man, and I will hopefully catch up with you again before your fight with Gwynne gets rescheduled. Okay.
Okay, man. Bang, to reach up.
Thanks, man. Take it easy, right?